Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 3 of the PSGL Season 28 F3 season. We are here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and I am very happy to be here for the first time this season. My name is Felix, and I am joined by my main commentator, Jake. Hello and welcome.
Hello, it's been a lonely commentary box these last couple of weeks, so I'm delighted that you're back, and you've come back at what should be a very exciting track to watch some racing on.
I certainly hope so. I mean, Austria has proven to be a great track for racing in the recent years, not only on the F1 games but also in real life. And with a full grid, I think we're set for a really exciting race. And I think this track is not really lacking many overtaking opportunities.
Now, just to 10 corners, but a lot of heavy braking points, particularly in the opening sort of 3-4 corners, and that makes it really easy to pull off overtakes and also come back at another driver if you're overtaking yourself.
Yeah, I think a big part of the race is going to be the DRS train. It's going to be important to stay within that 1 second window of the car ahead. And I think a DRS train can really help you, but also ruin your race. It's not going to be easy for the fast guys who are going to maybe go for the undercut here and there, and then they have to work their way through the traffic. That might be an issue with all those DRS trains. But if you're maybe a bit slower than the guys ahead usually, the DRS train can definitely help you to try and stay with them. And DRS is just incredibly powerful around here.
No, absolutely, and to be fair, so far in the first couple of rounds, obviously we had Bahrain Short and Singapore, which were two very different tracks. But the only driver so far in this division that has 2 podiums to their name is the championship leader Cohen, who I've got to be honest, has surprised me a little bit, because although he did very well in F4, he wasn't really one of the names you would have looked at and pointed out as doing really well in F3, but so far he's been superb.
Yeah, I mean, it was mainly the names of Luke and Ryan last season that we had to watch out for, and obviously Thyman as well. But yeah, Cohen kind of was the underdog heading into this season, and obviously I'm very sorry that I had to miss the first 2 rounds for unknown reason. I just call them. But I'm very glad to be here as Menno invalidates his lap. Just 3 corners before the start-finish line. And I really didn't expect Cohen to be that far up this season, and especially so early on.
No, absolutely not, but he's really proven himself over the last couple of weeks. He's got a nice shiny deal with Shazoo as well, so things are looking up for him at the moment, and although it's still very close in these early stages of a championship, he is definitely one that's come to the fore as Feynman's about to set our opening lap time of qualifying. It's a 102.6, which isn't too shabby at all, but it's instantly beaten by Carter by 9 thousandths of a second.
Oh, very close at the top there for the first couple of lap times that have been put in. Thyman lines up behind, Daniel lines up ahead of both of them. Goes a 10th quicker. Luke slots in between, and P2 at the minute, not even half a 10th slower than Daniel at the minute. Slimbo has abandoned his lap, it looks like. Let's see who else is on a lap. That's invalid from Simon. Loney is at the start of his lap, so is Pat. And see who's
got Trinity in the final sector.
So I think the corners that he comes up to now, turns 9 and 10. Yeah, and we've just seen what I just wanted to talk with you about. The possibility of invalidating is so big in those last 2 corners. I mean, such a quick combination of corners. Very odd final 2 corners. I mean, a double right-hander, about not quite 90 degrees, but still with a lot of elevation changes in them. It goes quite far downhill. And it's very easy to invalidate when you're coming at such high speeds, and you can't really see the exit of the corner when you enter it yet. So you kind of have to throw the car in there and hope for the best and trust in your car to stay on the track and not invalidate. But it's really easy to go wide there, and if you're on a brilliant lap, I think a lot of drivers will think about an invalidation before coming into those last 2 corners, because you don't want to throw it away all right before the end.
No, definitely, and it's so frustrating as well having those corners at the end of a lap, because you might think I've just done such a good lap here, and then at the last second you invalidate it, and it's such a frustrating feeling. So you've got to chuck it in there and just hope that the car gives you a grip that you're hoping for. And we've got Cohen just coming around those last 2 corners, huge amount of oversteer through turn 9, but he holds it together, but that may impact his lap time a little bit. He does a 1:02.7, which is good enough for 6th. Yeah, a lot of oversteer through turn 9. I reckon he'll definitely have lost a tenth or 2 there.
Yeah, Venom in the meantime was the first driver to beat Daniel in this quali session so far. Goes on to pole by a minor gap of 13 thousandths of a second. So, Jake, obviously a short lap time. That should prove some. That should give us some close lap times and close racing, shouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. If you could be one of the quickest in this tier, but you make one small mistake on your qualifying lap, and you're going to be so far out of position. And because of those DRS trains, it's going to be tough to make that up at the start of a race. So, it's really important here for these guys to hook up their laps as much as possible, because just losing a tenth of a second could cost you about 7 or 8 grid spots, and that's very difficult to recover in the race. If there's one driver you won't be seeing in qualifying, by the way, it's Boyrod. He has got a qualifying ban for last week's controversial invite as Cornet goes up to the top on a 1:02.3 for his controversial invite that he sent to a randomer who acted as his race engineer. So he's been given a qualifying ban for that.
Oh, well, that's nothing you should really be doing if you're racing out there with such talented people. Obviously, it gives you big advantages over the others, but still, it should be an equal playing field, and you can't just invite someone to help you whenever you want to, whenever there's a spot available. But I can see that if you look at the timings at the minute, we've got 8 people, who have not been able to set a lap time so far in this session, and that just proves that this track is so difficult to nail. I mean, it's easy to drive, but difficult to master. It's the definition of that phrasing. Just because obviously you can just go around the track, make sure you don't invalidate, but then you're not going to be fighting at the top. You have to be on your absolute limit to really be up there fighting for pole positions, fighting for the race win, fighting for a podium even. And if you're just not on the limit, you won't get a pole position here, because as we've mentioned, the lap time is so short. Every single corner needs to be perfect to be on pole at the end of the day and to win the race. But if you take it carefully, not to invalidate, you're going to have a tough time here tonight.
No, and that's it. When it's such a short lap, I think as well, you go looking for time that's sometimes not there, as Ryan now has a big moment through turn 9 as well, as that kind of puts pay to his attempt. He's going to be quite low down the order as a result of that. I think he sort of backed off it following that. Of course, last season's F4 champion is Ryan. Only got 5 points to his name from 2 races so far. He got all of those at the season opener. And Loney's out of qualifying, and that's... Where is that? That's out
of the final corner.
Oh, no. Yeah, at the final corner. So those last few corners, you mentioned there been a problem for invalidating, but it also looks like the rear end of some of these cars isn't particularly enjoying these corners either.
I can tell you that Luke is someone who enjoys this quali session so far very nicely, as he has put his car onto provisional pole by only 27 thousandths of a second with his previous lap, ahead of Cornet?
That's what I've been going with.
All right, Cornet. Ahead of Cornet, and you can see how close it is at the top, and it's just brilliant to see. And I think if more and more people are able to get their lap times in this session, we're gonna have an even closer grid then.
Ryan went for a second attempt. Don't often see 2 flying laps put together, but he went for it and goes up to 11th, but still half a second off the best time. Just having a look at the moment to see who's on a better lap. Daniel's backed off. Venom might be on a lap, but it's worth to know as well, Venom and Carter have 5-second penalties to be added to their race times as well, so that could be quite crucial around here. I don't think this is a track you'd really want to have 5 seconds added to your race time, because I expect things to be quite close overall here. So those 5 seconds could really cost you.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. Even if you are quicker, it's so tough to just get the car behind you out of that 1 second window to build a gap as Venom invalidates coming into turn 9. By the way, in case if you're wondering why it's 10 corners instead of 9, it's actually, there are a lot of different versions where a lot of different corners are counted or not counted. But in the F1 version, that little kink before the hairpin is called turn 2. So this little kink to the left, which is fully flat, no matter what you do, even if you haven't got a front wing, it's fully flat, it still counts as a corner. So the hairpin he just went through is turn 3.
Yeah, this is a bit of a strange one, really, because, like you say, it could be pouring down with rain, you could have no front wing, you don't really notice it's there, to be honest. But certain tracks do take liberties, I think, with trying to say if they've got as many turns as possible, even when they're just really just little kinks in the road, which can't really count. Cornet's on another lap, and he's 8,000ths of a second up through the middle sector. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if he can find just a few more thousandths, he could take pole off Luke.
Oh, that looked nice and tidy, but a bit too far over the white line on the outside, and that completely invalidates his lap. Would have been a 1 minute 2.3. Wouldn't have been enough for pole anyway. So he's probably got one more run at the end of this session. But by the way, I just want to give my opinion on the corner numbers as well. After turn 4, I feel like the exit is just is still the right-hander of turn 4, but it counts as a separate right-hander. That's why we have 2 more corners than we would actually have if we actually count the corners where you actually have to turn the steering wheel, because that where corner is going through, that actually counts as turn 5.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit overkill. I'd probably say if it was up to me, I'd say it was a 9, maybe even 8 turn circuit, but they're trying to maximise it as much as possible. Obviously, it hasn't got many corners to it at all. Oh, and again, it just seems like whoever I go on board with for their lap, they always seem to have a mad moment of oversteer. I was on board with Vyman, and he was on a much better lap, but he had a massive oversteer moment coming out of turn 7 into turn 8, and he's come back into the pits now. As Kryptonite, I think, improved to go 7th.
How would you pronounce that guy in P12?
Girassi is what I've been going with.
Well, there was once a football player playing for Cologne a couple of years ago. I don't know if that's he kind of became a meme in Germany after he missed an open goal a couple of years ago. So and the commentator shouted his name like that. So maybe that's referring to it. But I don't know if he's German or not. But yeah, the footballer's name was Girassi, and oh, look at that gap in between Cornet and Cohen, 1,000 of a second. That's brilliant.
Oh, that is superb. Great effort from Cohen again, showing his pace, and it's looking good for Haas at the moment. 1 and 3 in this qualifying session. I'm just wondering
Luke,
here if Boss.
Look at Luke. Sorry to interrupt you, but Luke has gone even quicker. I was wondering, but oh well, my goodness, he went even quicker than he did before. He's now a 10th clear of second place. That's brilliant.
That's a stunning effort. I didn't quite catch that because I don't know about you, but on my screen I've still got Carter's lap time as the fastest lap, which is a bit irritating. As Ryan has a massive moment just in front of Ferreira. Renault really is one of the mysteries to me so far this season. Like, I was looking at Lakitu coming into this season. He was a runner-up in F3 last season, but so far, he got 5 points in Singapore, but the outright pace just hasn't really been there for him. I'm very surprised at Lakitu. He's probably the biggest disappointment, I would say, so far.
I can't really give my opinion on that due to the fact that I sadly haven't been there for the first 2 rounds. But a thing I wanted to mention just before the race starts as well is the pit lane entry and exit, which is as Venom goes second onto the first row of the grid. The rules are pretty clear on that. You can't cross it with 2 tyres. You have to stay within the white lines. No,
definitely. It's been made very clear to the drivers, and definitely can't blame anyone for reporting somebody if they don't follow the rules. I mean, it's pretty simple in my view. Just follow the rules and you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, simple as that. Just don't cross the white line. Gives the other drivers around you, especially behind you, the opportunity to see and to know what you're actually trying to do, instead of just cutting in after turn 9 and possibly risking a big incident. Then it's just a thing of safety, so we don't see too many crashes concerning the pit lane entry. But yeah, I've got my opinion on that pit lane entry in Austria for many years now. I think it's just dangerous, especially in real life. I mean, if you try to enter the pit lane, you have to go so much slower than you'd usually do if you would just take it normally, and you definitely cross the white lines when you just take the normal racing line. So I think it should just be a separate, like, pit lane entry. I think they should have the possibility and the space to make a separate pit lane entry instead of just a line on the inside, which just impedes the drivers that are staying out.
No, definitely. I think there's definitely something that they could work on there for that, because it does feel very much like an afterthought of a pit entry. It's a blind, fast right-hander. It really isn't the sort of area you should really have a pit entry in. But thankfully, we haven't seen anything too big as of yet in terms of crashes caused by it. But nevertheless, it's definitely something that could be improved, especially with safety being such a key thing in recent years. We've got Simon on a lap at the moment. He's up in the first sector and he's already 5th place. And it's worth pointing out at the moment that things looking even better for Haas than they appear, because they're 1 and 4 on the grid. But of course, 2nd and 3rd, I believe, not Cornet, my apologies, but 2nd place Venom, of course, has that 5-second race penalty. It's not Cornet who has the other one. I got confused there. But even so, that's looking very good for them at the moment, as Simon backs off on his lap because he invalidated.
Yeah, and Cohen, has just started another lap, but I'm going to see if I find someone who is further into the lap, which is Carter, who's coming around turn 8 at the minute, coming towards the final 2 corners. Let's see if he nails them. Mounts the curve on the left-hand side on the entry. That looked nice and tidy. Maybe could have, extended his line a bit more, but he comes across the line to improve by 2/10, which puts him up into 5th place.
That's a great effort, and he's exactly the same time as Cohen, as Daniel goes up to 2nd now.
Wow. Great lap.
That is super close between 2nd and 6th, but I suspect it may get even closer. But to be fair, looking at it at the moment, a lot of drivers have already backed out of their laps.
Yeah, Cohen's going again. Cohen, I think, at some point said, nah, this is not going to be the pole lap, so I'm just going to go for another one. Smart decision by him. And he's going to be one of the last couple of drivers to set their lap times. Same with Cornet.
A few drivers going for second efforts. The beauty of this short track is you can go with that sort of strategy. One driver I keep an eye on, though, he's not done a lap time yet, is Boss, because that middle sector, certainly from what I can see anyway, looks very competitive indeed, as long as he can hook up these last couple of turns.
And on the final corner he comes. Let's see. Where does he end up? Oh, wow. 7th on the grid with his first attempt.
Good effort. 102.4 right in there with a lot of other drivers. Let's see if there's anyone out there who's about to shock Cohen.
He's slightly down on his time, though. He needs to have a good run. No, he loses the rear end coming into turn 9 and goes wide. And that is his qualifying over then. Couldn't even improve with that track extend there. Let's see if Cornet is slightly up on his time. That could even be enough to take 3rd. Maybe even 2nd, and it is 2nd in the end. Puts his McLaren onto the first row of the grid. Amazing effort there. Let's see if Luke can even improve a bit more. He's currently 1.5 tenths down though. And Venom! Where did he come from?
Venom! It's a stunning effort at the end from Venom there to snatch pole away from Luke. Right at the gas bar. I literally think that was the last flying lap in qualifying. And Venom takes pole position away. What a lap. 14 thousandths in it. And, well, Luke must have felt he had that for all the world. And just to be snatched away from him right at the depth.
That was a brilliant effort. That kind of came out of nowhere for me, gotta say. Didn't think that Venom would suddenly just put his car up there onto the first row of the grid. Not even that, but also pole position. And in the end, he's going to be the man starting from first place then. Only 14 thousandths ahead of Luke. And that is looking pretty dodgy here, with Cornet in third and Daniel in fourth and Cohen in fifth. All the guys from the Netherlands. Then we've got Carter in sixth. Boss with his one and only attempt. A really good job from him then to take P7. Then we've got Simon in 8th, Pat in 9th, Kryptonite in 10th, then Trinity in 11th, Slimbo 12th, Thyman 13th, Girashi in 14th, Ryan 15th, Menno, Ferreira, Lakito, Boyrod, and I forgot who retired.
Loney.
Loney.
Yeah,
sorry.
Crashed out of turn 10. Wow, there's a few surprises in there. I mean, Venom on pole for a start. I mean, he didn't start last week's race at Singapore, but nevertheless, he's yet to score a point this season. And then to put it on pole after a DNF and a DNS is quite an incredible job he's done there. Definitely came out of nowhere. And then as well, on the flip side of it, racing point duo of Feynman and Ryan. Gotta be honest, P13 and 15, that's not where I would have expected them to be.
No, not really. I was expecting a lot more from Thyman going into the season, if I'm honest. And IGK Tech actually donated £1, 1.99 pounds. Don't know how you say it. I'm German. I'm sorry. That was probably wrong.
£1.95. Yeah, that's
yeah.
fine. £1.99 even.
He said go Trinity, so he's got a big support, and he said had to donate to this league. Thank you very much. That really helps the league grow even more and more. And I gotta say, PSGL has made such an incredible development within the last few years, and it's definitely the biggest PS4 league of the F1 game at the moment.
Lakitu just saying that they had to turn the line off. That's strange, because obviously I hosted this lobby. I'm fairly sure I made sure that line was off, so I don't know what's happened there. But nevertheless, shouldn't be an issue, and we're on the formation lap now. And yeah, Venom in an unusual position on pole, Luke in second, which is an unusual position for him. Anyone who watched F4 last season will remember Luke was almost a master of getting second places.
Yeah, he went through the entirety of the season without a win, didn't he?
I believe so, yeah, I believe so. He got so many second places that he finished second in the championship, I believe, in the end, was it?
Yeah, I think he took second. He was in third coming into the last round behind Thyman, but I think he took second away from Thyman then again. But we've talked about Luke now a bit too much, because due to the fact that the lap time is that short, Venom is already coming into the final two corners, so let's quickly talk about the tyre choices. Trinity in 11th decided to go onto the mediums, then Ferreira, Lakitu and Boyrod onto mediums as well, and all the other guys, so from P12 to P16 and Loney in last, have decided to go onto the hards. Interesting. I would have expected everyone outside the top 10 to start on the medium tyre.
And based on the data that I've got, there's only 4 tenths difference between the medium and hards, so I don't know, maybe they're going for that bit extra tyre wear, and obviously one stop is the strategy to go for here, so maybe with such a small deficit between the medium and hards, they're thinking maybe the hard tyre's the way to go. It's interesting to see that both Racing Points have done that, whereas both Renaults are on the mediums.
And we're waiting for the lights to come on, and the lights are coming on at the minute. And we are not off yet. It's once again Codemasters being great, but I can hear the engines revving, and we're waiting for the drivers to go. And we are off for round 3. It looks like Lucas had quite a good start in P2, but he can't challenge Venom coming into turn 1. Daniel already has moved up a spot, fighting the McLaren of Cornet into turn 1, but Cornet's got the position back. We've got a lot of crashes and a lot of debris flying in the background. We've got a Red Bull off Paddoff, I think that is, and Cornet has got his position back, and it looks like at the front they kept it quite clean, as the Red Bull of Carter had to avoid the slow Haas of Cohen coming into turn 3, but he's managed to avoid him, as Kryptonite and Simon are fighting for it. Kryptonite started in 10th, I think, but he's now up to 7th, and he's got the inside line for turn 2. For turn 4, sorry. Can he defend the position? It's now going to turn into the outside for turn 6, and they're still side by side, and it looks like Simon has pulled off a great move there.
Nicely done from Simon. It was chaos further back. It looks like Pat and Trinity have lost out, as has Lakitu, who has just spun off into the gravel through that middle part of the lap. So disaster for those three towards the back of the grid. Boss as well, after that great qualifying lap at the end, has dropped down to 17th, but it's Venom who leads away, and that was exactly the start he would have hoped for.
We've got Simon in the pits. Looks like he's got that front wing damage.
Yeah, I saw so much debris flying around. It was inevitable. I think that we had at least 3 or 4 cars with damage.
Brilliant stuff from Ryan, though. Look at that. Moved up 6 positions already after starting in 15th. He's now up into 9th.
Yeah, and if he can sort of stay within range of those soft tyre runners in front of him on those hards, it puts him in a nice position going into the latter half of this race. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of pace he's got.
Yeah, it looks like it's not going to be an easy time for Girassi to stay ahead of Ferreira. He's pretty close, especially considering the fact that Ferreira is on the quicker medium tyre. And Boyrod behind him is also on the mediums, and I reckon those 2 guys on the mediums would want to clear those hard runners as early as they can. But let's see, up front we've got a train of like 8 cars all on the soft tyres, then a little gap to Ryan, then another little gap to Slimbo, and then we've got another train of like 6 cars.
Now Ryan's in a nice spot at the moment because he's got that 2-second buffer ahead of Slimbo, so he could just run this race right now at very much his own pace and just make sure he keeps himself in contention. It looks like at the moment I would say that Daniel might be ready to put a bit of pressure on Cornet for 3rd, and the top 2 just trying to pull that gap away from Cornet in 3rd.
Yeah, I think Cornet is at the biggest risk of that top group here. In terms of losing the DRS window. Yeah, and he locks up coming into turn 4. That will have cost him time even more here, but he needs to stay within that 1 second window if he doesn't want to get eaten up by Daniel behind him, because that Ferrari is looking very quick indeed, only half a second behind him. And also Cohen is just waiting for those 2 guys ahead to make a mistake to then be ready and to use that to his advantage. And obviously a fight is not what you want at the moment, but you need the DRS as well. So if the car ahead of you is putting yourself at risk of losing the DRS to those top guys, you need to pass them as quickly as you can. But you can't afford to lose the DRS window then yourself, because otherwise you're going to be eaten up by those guys behind you. So it's a very tricky situation for the drivers at the minute.
I saw a Red Bull running wide at the start of the race, and I'm going to hazard a guess that was Pat, because he started in the top 10, of course, but now he's battling way outside the top 10. We've got another yellow flag. What's happened now?
That's Lakitu in the wall.
The F3 runner-up from season 27 is just not having a good time of it at all so far, and it's just been a real disastrous few laps for him. But I've got to say credit to Cornet. He's started to come back and bridge that gap to the top 2, so he's not allowed them to pull away, and it's very much the DRS train that we expected forming. But I have to say, I know he's on hard tyres and everything, but has Ryan made a mistake somewhere? Because all of a sudden he's way away from the top 8, and if anything, he might come under threat from the Ferrari of Slimbo.
Oh, keep an eye on Pat after that trip off the track into turn 1 on the opening lap. And Venom already's got a penalty. After 5 laps, he's already picked up 3 warnings. Oh, he's going to have a tough time today, isn't he? But Pat is on the soft tyres, so he's going to be flying through that field, and he's already made a couple of passes, and I think it's not going to stop here.
Boyrod deciding that the scenery of Austria is far too good to miss out on, and goes way off the track at turn 1 to have a closer look at it. But I don't think he actually lost 8 places there, so not too much damage done. But of course, Venom's one of the 2 drivers here as well that adds that 5 seconds to be added on to his race time. So in effect, he's already got 8 seconds that will be added to his race time, and that will put him right at the back of this group.
It's an interesting situation, especially with Pat, because look at that. Pat is so incredibly close already to the back of that AlphaTauri ahead of him, and we saw him we didn't see it, but he made some passes already here and there, and I don't think he's willing to stop that anytime soon. As long as his rubber is still fresh, still quick, he wants to use it as best as possible, and obviously he needs to use it after his trip into the mountains of Austria. Like you said, the scenery here in Austria, it's looking quite nice.
It is. It's not looking so nice if you're Ryan right now, though, because Slimbo has got past him even before they got to turn 3. And yeah, right now Ryan just doesn't look to have any sort of pace at all, and you get the feeling he's going to come under more threat from Girassi and Pat behind him.
Yeah, it doesn't look too well for the Racing Point driver, very close to the rear end of that Ferrari head. Was just past him, but Slimbo's made the move stick very easily, it looked like, and I reckon he's going to pull away within the next couple of laps. And yeah, that might help Pat as well, because if Girassi can't clear the Racing Point of Ryan so easily, that might be a chance for the Red Bull driver to then perform at his team's home race.
This is not something you see every day. The top 6 is exactly the same as what they started, which is quite unique. But I think one driver will be quite happy at the moment where they are is Kryptonite, because he's just hanging back at the back of his group, just making sure he's got the DRS, and he's got absolutely no threat from behind him at all.
Yeah, that's a very comfortable position, especially around here. I mean, we've got Lakito already having been lapped, and we're only on lap 7, and he's sitting in between that big gap of those two groups, in between P8 and P9. And yeah, I think Kryptonite won't be mad at this situation at all. I mean, no pressure from behind. He can save as much ERS as he wants, and it won't put him at risk of losing a position.
No, definitely not. I just wonder if, ever since he got that penalty, is Venom just playing a little bit too cautiously with track limits? Because I just get the feeling that Luke is starting to get into a position to attack him for the lead here.
But does he really want to, or does he maybe just want to sit back? I mean, if he passes him as a Pat Pitts already, that's early.
He's using overtake, he's going for it, I think.
Oh yeah, ooh! That's close to the inside, close to the grass, but he's still got the inside line. Venom couldn't cover it off quite that much, and he's still got the outside line. Venom has got it, and around the outside, no, he can't get him back because Luke has got the DRS, and not only that, he's got the race leader. There goes Cornet maybe, and if you lose one spot in Austria, it's very certain you're going to lose 2 because of that DRS train. And yes, he is about to lose that second place as well, but he dives back down the inside into turn 6, and that was a brilliant effort to hold that second place for now.
He might come under threat because he's not had a great exit from turn 8, and his Cornet, this would be brave if he tries this, and no, he ducks back in. I don't blame him on that one, because I wouldn't ever try and overtake for turn 9 personally.
I had quite a fun situation yesterday going side by side through the final 2 corners, and I tell you, that was very, very scary. It wasn't a really comfortable position going side by side through there. But that definitely helped Luke now due to the fact that they were fighting. He's got a bit of a gap, 6/10, but he couldn't quite break out of that 1 second window of the car behind, and that would have been crucial for him now. Oh, and he spun!
I don't know if it was contact between him and Cornet. If it was, we're talking about the merest of touches, but on traction, he just seemed to lose the back end of the car, and things have gone from bad to worse for Venom. I was just about to point out as well that not only has Luke got the race lead, he's got so much more ERS available to him than the guys behind. So, of course, Daniel now up to 3rd with Venom's spin. But yeah, everything's fallen into place beautifully for Luke there. But that's a real shame for Venom. Such a great qualifying. But I'd have to see that one back to know whether he lost it on his own or whether there was a bit of contact.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I'm honest. I mean, it is easy to lose the back end there as Daniel track extends, and that was probably a warning then.
Simon's in the pits.
And Lucas got that 1 second window. And that was crucial. Yeah, I think he's done it. I think he's done it. Yes, he has got the McLaren behind him out of that 1 second window. And the McLaren is trying desperately to get back in there, but he just hasn't got any ERS left.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's interesting strategy from Simon.
He's got the DRS back though for now. Sorry.
He's pitted super early, I would say. I think he probably would have gone a few more laps. And he's also switched to the mediums, and those mediums will not get to the end from here. So he's pretty much nailed himself in for a two-stop race here, meaning he's going to have to do some overtaking to make that strategy work. Maybe he looked at the gap behind Kryptonite and thought it's a good opportunity to take this risk, but I don't know. I still think a one-stop race is the way to go.
That would be quite a story if Luke wins here today. Couldn't get his race win in F4 last season and could take his win today here in F3. And Kohn is into the pits. So the teammate of our leading driver at the minute into the pit lane he goes. No penalty being handed to him. Carter and Kryptonite follow him in, both onto the mediums. Are you sure the mediums can't make it? I think they can. Carter has swapped his front wing, and not only that, he's fitted another set of softs, and so has Cohen. Both have fully committed to the two-stop now, and that makes this race a lot more interesting now.
Yeah, we've got real variance in strategy, and well, Kryptonite's gone for the mediums. I'm just trying to see like what other guys have gone for. Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's gone for the soft to hard strategy, which I thought I might see quite a bit here, to be honest, with the deficit of times, but yeah, Carson saying in the chat it must be rain at the end.
It could be. That was actually something I wanted to talk about, because Austria, like very close to Germany, and I know the German weather, it's not really reliable. Even if the race in-game is in the summer, it still isn't really reliable, and it's not very rare that it rains, so it's the same for Austria, and we could see some rain. I'm actually surprised that we didn't see rain in any of the last couple of years in the race in real life in Austria. But Luke now pits as well. We've got yellow flags in the third sector. I don't know what happened there, but let's see how the pit stops go. Daniel is last out of them all. Look at Cohen. Cohen jumps a few, and there's Luke, and Simon is fighting for the race lead. And Luke has also gone onto the softs, and he's fighting his teammate now. Cohen is on the outside. Could we see a Hamilton-Rosberg moment here? No, it looks like Cohen has braked early to then make the switchback work into third gear. He goes for the better traction, but he doesn't. He now engages overtake, but only for a split second. So he stays behind, but that was a brilliant strategy call from the Haas guys. Luke has retained the lead, and Cohen is up to second.
Well, I tell you what as well, it might also explain why so many drivers opted to start on the hard tyres. Maybe they're looking to stay out there until the rain comes.
Oh, that is a very, very good point. And look at that, two worlds are going to collide in a couple of laps' time. And that is as soon as those guys who have made their pit stops will come up to that train of drivers who are still out on their first set of tyres. Look at that. That's going to be the biggest train we've had in ages.
Yeah, and Luke, and it's also good that for those guys on the soft tyres, they'll be hoping the rain is sooner rather than later in a way, because I think towards sort of, you're talking like 10-15 laps in, the medium tyre runners will have better tyres than those on the softs. So for them, it really is going to be about when this rain comes. If indeed it is coming. This is where it doesn't rain at all, and we've just made this up. But I've got to admit, with the strategies that are happening, it does very much point towards the fact that it will rain. And I can almost see as well, it does look like it's starting to get a little bit darker out there, as Cornet and Simon are fighting side by side, and Cornet's, that's a great move down the inside there through the middle part of the lap. And Simon, after almost challenging Luke for the provisional race lead, is starting to lose quite a few positions.
There's a slow car on the right hand side. That is a lap car of Lakitu, and Ryan has picked up a penalty. That is not good for him. And yes, now two worlds have collided, and that is the world of Luke and his train and Girassi and his train. Ryan is the last one of that train of guys who are still on their first set of tyres, and look at that, it is getting quite overcast here, and I'm curious to see how Luke will attend this train of cars now. Is it just trying to make the moves as soon as possible, as Ryan has made it very easy for him, as Ryan lost the rear end coming out of turn 3. Ryan doesn't even try to fight back, and that's going to be close in between Cohen and Ryan, as Cohen probably thought there was going to be a gap on the outside, but that just wasn't it. He's gone for the inside. That's going to be difficult, but he makes it stick. Good move there by Cohen. Down the inside, and look at Luke. He's going aggressive.
Ooh.
He's made contact with that Williams. And I definitely know now which strategy Luke is going for with that train of cars ahead of him. He's going past them as quickly as you can, like Sebastian Vettel in Singapore 2019. And look at that train. It's from P1 down to P11.
Yeah, just less than 4 seconds covers the top 11 cars. This is absolutely crazy stuff. And you've got Luke super offensive here, wants to get these moves done as quickly as possible, but he's got to be careful here as well. He doesn't want to lose any of his front wing going for an over-ambitious move. He opts out of passing Loney, but this is such
his teammate went
race.
wide, and that opened the door for Ryan, but Ryan had to back out because obviously he doesn't even really want to pass him. And Daniel is very close to the rear end of Simon. He doesn't go for a move just yet as both of them lock up coming into turn 4.
Yeah, this is such an interesting race right now as Luke goes around the outside of Loney. What an overtake that is. I'd say it was the best overtake I've seen so far this race.
Oh,
and he's straight onto the back of Boyerord. And he's going down the inside of Boyerord before we even get to turn 9. Luke is on an absolute mission tonight.
Yeah, I was watching Cornet, who was struggling to get past Ryan, but something's happened to Ryan. And Ferreira went wide, and that was a rather easy move for Luke as he passes him, and down the inside of 2 people goes Cohen.
Ooh.
The rain has started to set in, I think. Was there a drop of rain? No, might have just been me being absolutely blind. But look at Cornet right behind Cohen, trying to follow him through. Is he able to do that coming into turn 3? Goes down the inside. Cohen once again locks up coming into turn 3, and he hits the back end of Boyerord, who is dropped down to 5th now because of that mistake. And Slimbo is trying to get Girassi, but he isn't able to get past just yet as Simon dives down the inside of his teammate. That looked like a rather easy move, but it's so difficult to keep an eye on everything. And there goes Cohen. There are moves being made left, right and centre, and I absolutely can't keep up.
It's absolutely crazy stuff here. The 2 worlds have collided and brought an absolute belt of a race to the boil here as we've got Cornet going down the inside of Boyerord now as well. Ryan, for one, has abandoned his hard tyre strategy. He came into the pits. Luke, and you can see he is about to make a move on Slimbo, but he can't do so because Slimbo got incredible overspeed.
Down the inside of Ferreira. Ferreira made it easy, and that is P4 then for Cohen. And he now needs to try and get back into the DRS window, and there goes Cornet, probably with Cohen.
Slimbo for the lead. Slimbo takes the lead off Girassi. Luke is just an onlooker at this point. He may think there's an opportunity here to get a pair of them, though.
Oh, he's got low amounts of DRS left now. He needs to watch out that he does not break himself and goes into Slimbo then.
Oh, Boss is out of the race.
I think that was in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's in the pit lane, so there won't be a safety car or anything like that. Luke up to 2nd then. And I think he recognised the importance here that he can get over a 2nd clear of his teammate. That's why I think he's going so aggressive right now.
Yeah, Luke has done a great job so far. And if he gets that spot and if the rain hits then afterwards, that would have been a brilliant strategy. But he needs to make that move stick, and then the rain needs to be on his side. And the question is, when will the heavens open up? And when will that rain come down? Because right now it's very overcast, but there's no signs of rain just yet on the track. But there goes Luke then. Yeah, that's going to be an easy pass, I reckon. Yep, and he's already got the move done even before they head into the braking zone. And Simon has just gone past Ferreira as well. Let's see if Cohen can go past the AlphaTauri of Girassi. He's using his ERS, he's using his overtake, but he can't make the move just yet. That must be so frustrating.
Yeah, he's going to see his teammate disappear down the road here, and he knows he needs to get a move on. He's going to go around the outside, is he, of Girassi? This is going to be brave into turn 6. Oh, and they're still alongside each other going to turn 7. He's got the outside line. Surely he's going to have a better traction. He does in the end, but Girassi made him work hard for that one.
Brilliant racing, brilliant racing. That's what we want to see. I mean, fair play to Girassi as well, who gave him the room on the outside, and that was a brave and brilliant move by Cohen. And that's what you need at the minute to make those passes as quickly as you can. Let's see if Cornet can follow him through. Not yet. Daniel has made his way past Boyrod. And look at that, Girassi has got quite some straight line speed here. And he's forcing Kone to the outside there. And he's holding the inside line, braking late. And he's trying to keep the position. He gives Kone a big squeeze on the outside, but gives him enough room. And on the exit, I think Kone should have it. But it's once again the inside line for Girassi, who's trying to hold it down the inside. He knows it's from position, because as soon as the rain is coming onto the track and falling down, he's in that fight for that win. That is actually the fight for the win if the rain comes when it's expected.
I think both Slimbo and Girassi deserve a lot of credit here, because they've really made those hard tyres work as best as they could, and they're now comfortably clear of that next group of cars. So, of Simon, Daniel, Ferreira, so things are looking alright for them at the moment. They're just hoping now that the rain comes as quickly as possible, and you get the feeling here Slimbo's going to have to do some more defending. But I wonder, is Luke just tactically keeping Slimbo within 1 second of him to not allow Cohen through? Is there some... There's a bit of rivalry going on at Haas. That
will be an absolute piece of masterclass there, as Cohen thinks about a move. It definitely makes Cohen's life a lot harder, and I think Slimbo will be happy with that as well. As Ryan said, it's the fastest lap of the race. I think he wouldn't mind a safety car right now, but he isn't being given that chance so far of catching back up. Only in the meantime goes past Boyrod, and I think we're now at a stage where the mediums are going to start to go down in terms of pace as well, and the mediums won't be feeling all too great for those guys who have started on them either.
No, I'm just trying to see.
There's the rain.
Oh yeah, I see the rain. So here we go then. This is going to be some crucial laps here. I was about to say Lerny's lining up a move on Boyrod for P10, and this is at the tail end of the points here, but you've got to imagine right now that Lerny's tyres are in better shape than Boyrod's. Down the inside he goes into turn one, bit of contact between them, and Boyrod goes flying off the road again. He's decided that scenery needs a second viewing, and he's lost
Cohen is trying to get past Slimbo, and Slimbo hasn't made it that difficult, and Kone is trying to slip through here as well. Tucks into the slipstream of the Ferrari ahead, now uses overtake mode to get down the inside into turn 4, brakes very late, might hit Cohen, he slightly taps his rear end, and both of the cars brake very late, but Kone made the move stick. Fair play to him, even though he locked up. He made the move stick in the end, and that was pretty scary for a second. I tell you what, this is a horrible situation for Cohen, because he absolutely can't afford to pit on the same lap as Luke.
Oh, there's contact! There's contact. Loney and Boyrod have been going at it for a while. And Loney, and I believe Carter had nowhere to go. Loney was in the middle of the track, didn't ghost in time, and Carter's got into him. And that's a big blow for Carter, probably the end of his hopes, really, I have to say. Carter comes into the pits. Loney stays out. Does he got damage? I'd be surprised if he hasn't. But that's a disaster for Carter. It's one of those unfortunate situations where you've got nowhere to go. The only blessing is a VSC. So it minimises time losses. Venom pits for Inters, as does Carter.
Well, that's early. I think that's a bit too early. But I'll tell you what, if Luke makes the right strategy call and pits on the right lap, that is horrible for Cohen. So Cohen basically has to pray for Luke to make the wrong call and to mess up the strategy in the end, to then be able to pit on the right lap. Because if he has to stay out one more lap while the Inters are clearly quicker, he's going to lose a lot of position. But if he dives into the pits at the same time, he's going to double stack, and that's going to cost some time as well. So he has to consider what is the best for his race and in what way he won't lose that much time.
I wonder if we'll see, it depends on how quickly the rain falls, but I wonder if we might see Cohen in at the end of this lap at the moment, because I just wonder, like you say, if he has to double stack, he's going to lose so much time. So, is it worth Cohen almost taking a little bit of an early gamble on Inters and praying that it works out?
I think Venom is losing too much time at the minute, though. Look at that. Look at the gap to Menno ahead, and he's losing more and more. Yeah, don't think Inters are quite ready yet.
Just looking at sort of penalties, it's mostly 3 seconds down the board. Ryan's got 6 seconds worth of penalties. Feynman's now pitted for Inters as well. It's no surprise that a lot of the drivers that are gambling on Inters are those that either had damage or towards the back end of the grid. You've really got nothing to lose in that situation. And but as at the moment, it's clearly not the right tyre to be on.
I think we should have an eye on Ferreira and Boyroad because their tyres are getting quite old now. And the same for the top 3 actually. I don't know how long you can stretch the softs, but due to all that fighting and being in that all that dirty air, I don't think those softs will be feeling all too great either.
Well, I think on that lap, unless I'm mistaken, as Cohen gets really close to the back of Luke, picks up a penalty. Ferreira's given it up. He's had enough of those mediums. He pits. He gets a penalty, speeding penalty as well. And we've got Feynman. Yeah. He's not having a good time of it. Of course, he won Bahrain short in the opening week. But it's looking like it's going to be 2 non-scores in a row for him. And you can see how much he's struggling on the Inters as he goes around again. Not what he needs, but yeah, you mentioned about the soft tyres going off, and it looks to be true, to be honest, because Slimbo is matching the leader's pace now on those hard tyres. And Venom's out the race.
Yeah, he's retired in the pit
lane.
Horrible race for him after such a good quali. I still don't know if his spin was caused by another driver or if he just lost it on traction. But look at how close Simon is to the back of Girassi now, who's on much older hard tyres. And behind him there's Daniel as well, who's trying to get past him now. He's got 2 lap fresher mediums than him. There's Venom's AI, hopefully it won't get in the way.
Feynman's out as well.
Yeah, very sad to see. Look at Simon. Look at Simon down the inside. He tries to go into turn 3. Ooh. He's got the inside line. Then he squeezes Girassi out, but gives him enough room, and Girassi has to give up the spot for now. And down into P6, and he might lose another one here against Daniel as he is looking for the outside line through turn 4. Oh, it looks like Simon went a bit wide coming down into turn 4. And that compromised Daniel's run, but Daniel's got the inside line for turn 6, and there he goes. And he's got the move done. Good job there by the Ferrari driver, and we've got Loney, who's just made up another spot. I think that was on Boyroad.
It doesn't look like this rain's falling all too quickly at the moment, and if that's the case, that really falls into the hands of the likes of Simon and Daniel there. Yep. They definitely got the best tyres at the moment. I say that as Daniel has a huge moment through turn 9. You can see that there is the grip is definitely starting to reduce out there, but it's not falling all too quickly.
On his 24 lap old he's got a puncture. 24 lap old mediums, and he is the one getting the puncture. Oh my, that is not a good race for him. I don't know if he had the puncture before already. And Simon has got the spot from Slimbo, and yes, down the inside it goes. Daniel tries to slip through as well, past his teammate as well in the traction zone. And now it really depends when the rain is actually falling down heavier, because at the minute it's just not ready for Inters. You can see on the track there's not really any signs of spray coming off the cars, and if those top 3 guys are going more and more with longer and longer with those soft tyres, they're going to go off at some point, and they might be at risk of a puncture in a couple of laps time. And that's probably the reason why Simon and Daniel have gone for the safer option, because they can definitely go till the end on those tyres. Definitely is maybe a bit over exaggerated, because we saw Boyroad getting the puncture with 25 lap old mediums. Slimbo and Girassi pit.
Yeah, they've got no choice. I mean, the mediums are meant to last 21 laps. It's kind of a miracle Boyroad got them as far as he did, and the hards only last 26. So yeah, they've kind of had to just take the gamble at this point. It's the best option for them, but the softs only last 16 laps, so they are getting close to being on the edge of those tyres. And you can see, just look how much quicker Daniel and Simon are than these guys.
Oh yeah, oh my goodness, they're catching up at massive speeds. And and down the inside, that's a late move. I think he just outbraked himself, and he didn't really want to go down the inside. He taps the rear end, and then gives Daniel the chance, and they collide.
And there's front wing damage on the Ferrari.
Oh no, I
And
just wanted to say Daniel's the favourite for this race win, but it's all gone out the window because Simon outbraked himself, hit the McLaren there, and there was no chance for Daniel to avoid, and Daniel basically has to pit now. No, he stays out.
Kryptonite's pitting. Kryptonite's pitting on the mediums. That's a surprise. He's got good tyres at the moment, so does he think it's ready for Inters?
Or maybe he got caught up. Did he get caught up?
I don't think so. He was kind of hanging back from what I saw. So, but has he got to change a front wing?
No, he isn't.
No,
Inters.
just switch onto Inters.
That's a gamble, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. And I'm very worried for Cohen now. 16 laps on those softs now, and they won't feel great, especially due to all that fighting he did throughout the entirety of the race.
Well, I've got to say, even if the Inters aren't quite ready, to be honest with you, I highly doubt that worn softs are going to feel any better at all anyway.
Well, I tell you what, still, even Daniel with that front wing damage, I still think he's one of the favourites for this race win right now. Because look at that, the Inters are still slower. Oh, never mind, the Inters have just gone slightly quicker. Oh yes, Slimbaw's catching.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what as well, if Luke pits this lap, it really puts Cohen in trouble. Because Cohen has to stay out for a 70. Yeah, Luke's coming in. So Cohen's going to have to do a 17th lap on those soft tyres. And it's looking like we're getting towards a crossover period as well.
Yeah, DRS disabled. And
this is a disaster for Cohen.
Oh, hopefully. We'll have to stay with him. Because I think he's at a very high risk of a puncture. Let's see where Slimbo is going to be in comparison to Luke then. But Cohen has to pray. He really has to pray that his tyres will last. Let's see. And yes, Slimbo takes the lead.
Yes, Slimbo and
Girassi. Lead.
Slimbo and Girassi are now net P1 and P2.
Kryptonite so it just shows. Well.
Kryptonite up to P3, so it just shows how much it cost him. Looking at it, Cohen could be down as far as probably where Daniel and Loney are at this rate. This is going to cost him so much time. He just needs to get round without them puncturing, but you can just see how much he's losing corner by corner.
I think did he get the puncture?
He looks okay at the moment.
No, it wasn't. I thought it was the left rear, but nope. Still alright.
But you can see he's losing, like, we're talking seconds every sort of corner here. This is doing him no good at all. And like I said earlier, it was probably worth Cohen just taking an early gamble, because it was always going to be Luke's fate as to what would happen to Cohen if he stayed out.
But he is lucky not to get a puncture here.
He's got to try and get it slowed. I was going to say, on those tyres, it's going to be tough just to get it slowed down for the pit lane, and he, as it showed there, he's got a penalty, and Cohen, the championship leaders, having a real disaster today. But I've got to say, this race at the moment, at least, is heading the way of Slimbo, but he does have a penalty. So Girassi, I suppose, at the moment, is our net race leader.
Yeah, but look at the gap in between Slimbo and Girassi. If Slimbo can stretch that gap a little bit more, we've got 7 laps to go, Luke. And remember, passes are a lot more difficult now than they were just a couple of laps ago when the DRS was still active, because now you don't have the help of DRS. It all comes down to driving. It's very old school driving now. Back in the days, I think it was 2010, it was the last season when we didn't have DRS, and now the drivers will find out how it feels without the help of DRS to overtake around here, and it's not going to be an easy time for them.
No, absolutely not. And I'd say at the moment, looking at it on track, I was about to say that the most likely overtake looks like maybe Luke on Kryptonite for P3. But it's so difficult, as you say, without the aid of DRS now, and he's got to try and get a really good exit, which probably explains the struggles of oversteer that he had. Just obviously a bit eager on the throttle. But for Cohen, it's not actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. He's rejoined in front of Daniel in 7th, but
yeah,
it could have been so much more for him today.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Daniel as well. I feel like he could have been the leader of this race right now as well, but obviously he's had that front wing damage, which was absolutely not his fault. It's just unlucky for him that Simon hit the car ahead, lost the rear end, and then no chance for Daniel to avoid him. In the end, he got away with that full wing damage, and that definitely cost him. Sits in P8 now, but still everything to fight for. Still, he's got Cohen ahead with his 5-second penalty, and maybe he can get within those 3 seconds of Simon as well. But at the minute, it looks like we won't see that many passes. I think a pass from Cornet on Luke might even be a bit more realistic, as Cornet loses the rear end coming out of turn 8, sorry.
I was a little bit sleeping on this, by the way. Just a quick apologies, but Girassi actually was the race winner, of course, last week at Singapore, so he's on course for 2 race wins in a row here, and would take him comfortably clear at the top of a championship, because the guys in front of him in the championship, Cohen, Loney, and Feynman. Well, Loney and Feynman are not going to score, by the way. Oh, Loney's in 9th. My apologies, but we're talking back end of a points here, so this is a big opportunity for Girassi. Despite a non-score in the first round, he's bounced back with 2 wins potentially here, and he's looking very, very strong. And if anything, Slimbo isn't pulling away from him at all. If anything, Girassi's actually coming back at him.
Yeah, and remember that Luke, once again, master of consistency. If he gets P4 here, and I could once again see, as we've got yellow flags, that's the key to, and I could see him being at the top of the championship fight towards the end of the season once again, because P4 right here, and it's exactly those races that gave Luke such a big shot at the championship last season at 4. I remember a lot of races where a lot of chaos was going on, but it was always Luke out of the top guys who was just up there being so consistent and still scoring.
Yeah, it's a recovery mission for Luke at the moment. It was, sadly, didn't actually, another penalty for Cohen. It just is all going away from him at the moment. Can't discount the fact he's had an incredible season so far, and hopefully for him, he can bounce back next week at Spa. But yeah, for Luke, 0 points coming into this. He hasn't had the consistent start that I would have expected from him.
Oh.
Or maybe this is the start of his season as Simon gets super close to Cornet.
And Cornet actually hit the rear end of Luke, making him a bit slippery on the rear end, and now Simon is pretty close to Cornet. Will he go down the inside? Yes, he does. He has a little look on the inside into turn 4, slightly understeers into him, but I think Cornet's going to keep the spot. He's got the inside line for turn 6 now, and that's really difficult to hold, especially in the rain. Off the racing line for Simon, and yes, he has to stay behind for now. But Simon saw his opportunity and went for it. You can't blame him.
No, absolutely not. Like, he's looking quite quick at the moment, it has to be said, and like you sort of touched on a few laps ago, if anything, like, Luke's coming under more threat than he is putting pressure on Kryptonite, as Girassi doesn't need to take the lead on track, but he's going to do so anyway, down the inside to turn 1. And lovely move, yeah, although he may get the cutback here, of course. Slimbo is in the overtake. No DRS now, so this is old-fashioned wheel-to-wheel racing, and can Slimbo come back at him into turn 3? No, he can't. So Girassi, he didn't just want to wait behind Slimbo and get the win on penalties.
Simon is very close, and he's on the inside, and he's ahead of Cornet coming into turn 3. Obviously, he's got that 3-second time penalty, but that was what you mentioned last lap. Simon is quite quick in these interconditions, it looks like, and he's finding a lot of confidence in that Williams right now.
He'll be thinking what might have been, really, Simon, I think, on this one, because of course he had that moment and then that contact with Daniel, which was so unfortunate for Daniel, it has to be said. As the reason why Daniel's not there fighting as well. We could have easily been looking at Simon and Daniel being 1 and 2 here, if it just wasn't for that collision that they had. But nevertheless, Simon's got great pace at the moment, and you look back against him, maybe having a go at Luke in his last couple of laps as well.
Flick through the onboards, we can see, Kryptonite's got a lot of ERS left to play for, but he needs to use that now if he wants, because obviously he doesn't need to pass Limbo, but if he wants the race when he needs to pass Girassi, which is got to be pretty difficult, not gonna lie, but anything is possible. Luke is very much on the limit in terms of ERS usage, but Simon has got a bit more, and Cornet hasn't got that much either. It's still a 6-car train for the race win, by the way. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and that's really going to cost the likes of Slimbo and Simon that have penalties, particularly Slimbo. He's going to drop to fifth, I believe, as it stands right now. It'll go behind Krypton, Luke, and Cornet. So just that one penalty is going to be really, really crucial for how his race finishes. But I've got to say, fair play to Girassi. You know, a lot of drivers in that situation, you see them just sit behind and take the win on penalties. But Girassi wanted to set out a statement by winning it on track, and I've got to say he's really, really impressed me these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's shown some great driving today as well, just very consistent, and now as well adapting to the different conditions now after the race being in the dry, dragging his tyres out long, and in the end they're making the right strategy call by pitting earlier than all the others onto Inters, and he's just gone wide, and the commentator's curse has struck, and there goes Slimbo.
I think we've had a few of them on the off chance today. Obviously, I think we were bigging up Simon and Daniel just as they came into contact as well.
Yeah, I feel very sorry for the guys.
I'm surprised I haven't had more angry DMs over recent weeks, to be honest. But nevertheless, it's not too much of a problem for Girassi. But nevertheless, he would have wanted to win it on the racetrack. But that small mistake there will mean that Slimbo will take the win on the road at least, and fair play to Kryptonite. He's held off the guys behind him and will take P2 at the end of this.
And look at that brilliant train. Out of the last corner he comes. Slimbo wins on track, but it's Girassi taking the race win on penalties by 0.3 of a second ahead of Kryptonite and Luke, who takes the podium. And that was quite a race. Cornet comes home in fourth without a single penalty as well. Slimbo then gets demoted to fifth after finishing first on track. That must hurt Daniel. Very unfortunate, down in sixth after that unfortunate contact. But he did manage to overtake Simon on penalties by 0.2 of a second. So he had picked up the pace quite a lot in those last remaining laps that he's had. Cohen dropped down to 8th in the end. Just very unlucky with his teammate being ahead of him. That basically messed up his race, and also that penalty was not really necessary. But Loney in 9th, then Pat takes the final point, and then we've got the non-point scorers of Ferreira, Meno, Boyrod, Trinity, Ryan, Carter, and let's be fair, Lakito has had an absolute nightmare of a race.
Yeah, I think Ryan and Carter actually crashed into each other across the line, which is quite amusing. But to be fair, a point you made a few laps ago really turned out to come to the fore in that last few laps, because you were talking about Kryptonite not using his ERS against Slimbo. Of course, if he'd have got past Slimbo, Girassi made that error, the win could have easily been Krypton's.
Yeah, and I think at the end he still had quite a lot more ERS left to play for than all the others around him. But yeah, maybe he was just happy and didn't want to risk anything, because obviously an overtake in the wet is always quite a risk. But in the end, Girassi wins then. Great race from him, and in the end he's on the top step of that podium ahead of Kryptonite, and then Luke, who was started the race in second, finished in third, not too bad, and from 14th on the grid Girassi wins 0.3 ahead of Kryptonite, and Kryptonite also from 10th on the grid. We've seen some brilliant drives. Also, quick shout out to Loney, who has made a last to 9th challenge, and yeah, only one pit stop, and that really helped Girassi with taking the win in the end.
Yeah, I think one of the driver who I want to give a shout to for their performance was Daniel.
Oh yeah.
Say that he had to change his front wing after that contact with Simon, and he still managed to find his way up to 6th. It's not the result he could have had, but it's still good points, and it would have been very harsh if he'd have ended this race.
Yeah, it's just very unfortunate with that contact. But gotta say, his fighting spirit in the end to then still pass Simon on penalties was still there, and that's what a racer needs as well. And who knows, those couple of points could be crucial towards the end of the season. You never know.
No, definitely, and it's as a racer, it's all about, it's all well and good being good in those days where everything goes right for you, but you've also got to be able to battle when things aren't going your way as well, and he's definitely shown that today.
I think we've seen a great race here today with the transition to wet. A lot of unexpected things happening. Obviously, very sad for Venom that he's had such a nightmarish race after taking pole position and in the end not even managing to finish the race. But still, we've had brilliant fights, and it was actually Girassi who was the one that had to concede a couple of positions through the entirety of the race. Obviously, starting on the hards, but he was always fair and he always left the room. And I think he was one of the guys that raced quite hard but fairly and had a lot of nice battles with others.
No, definitely. There's some great battling throughout the field. It was really good to see. And to be fair, dry to wet race, we got a lot of entertainment out of that today, and I certainly expect more of the same next week when we go to Spa for round 4.
Yes, but also a great track for racing, enough overtaking opportunities, and I hope those guys will put on an equally good show next week. But before we come to the end of this live stream, Jake, what is your driver of the day?
It's probably not. It's probably a little consolation to him, but I'm gonna give mine to Daniel. I think just for his battling spirit at the end, and he could have easily been on the top step of that podium if it wasn't for some bad luck.
Yeah, I think that's a good call, but I gotta give it to Girassi. I mean, a lot of great battles, kept his cool, had great strategy, and in the end, taking the race win in such conditions, in such a chaotic race as well, is something you definitely need to have a cool head, and you need to be a good racer to win such a race. But also a close second for me is Loney, who's worked his way from 20th into 9th in the end to pick up 2 points.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what could have happened for Loney if it wasn't for that qualifying crash. We've seen already he's got great pace, so I suspect he could be one of the drivers involved in what should be a very close title fight all the way to the end.
I certainly hope so. The guys on track have delivered a great show today. I hope they do the same next week when we are heading to Spa in Belgium, and I'm very much looking forward to that. It was a great race today. Thank you for tuning in, all of you. Thank you for donating, just watching, commenting, whatever. And also thank you to the drivers who have put on a great show today. And obviously, thank you to Jake, who commentated along with me tonight. And it was great doing my first race of this division with you.
Yeah, no worries at all. And I'm already looking forward to seeing what next week brings.
Yeah, that will be next Monday at 7 p.m. UK time. Make sure to check out the F1 live stream, which is up right now. And I hope to see you guys watching next week again when we're heading to Spa. And until then, take care and goodbye.